no sort of understanding, but I think those are really good. Today is Sunday, the 22nd of March. I'm gonna start calling these stream of consciousness Sundays. So it's just SOCS. I know Ron made this really cool graphic, but I'm like, I'm gonna just start calling it stream of consciousness Sundays, and we just gonna just rap about shit and how we're feeling because a lot of shit be happening from our Thursday episodes to our Sunday episodes, and we had an interview on Sunday. So we really didn't have a lot of time to like really
Thursday.
What did I say, Thursday? Oh, see, time is a flat circle. If y'all saw Arrival, but like it's just so much shit going on, and I feel like they almost save the weekends to do shit. Like, oh, these people they think they're off on the weekends. No, you're not. You're actually gonna have to deal with us, and that's when they bomb shit, or that's when they fire people, or that's when government departmental agencies shut down,
Kidnap presidents, assassinate presidents,
kidnap presidents. I
release a
feel like
treasure trove of evidence and
right
Epstein files and
or lack thereof that they were due Friday, but then Saturday they're eating someone's child. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. So welcome to the Radical Roots podcast. I'm your co-host, Payron Baxter.
our co-host Ram Sandoval.
Welcome in everybody who is here or is not here, but it's okay because folks gonna jump on and
this one is not publicized at all, so
it's all right.
This is people watching the recording later for the most part.
It's cool. This is us testing our mettle, because folks who are Roots heads, they got the notification on YouTube, so they know that we're live. They know that we're doing something, and they'll jump on as we get on. But I know you wanted to get on, Rom, and just kind of just talk about just how you've been feeling over this past weekend since Thursday, since we're gonna have a long time to really kind of dive into topics. But the first thing I was going to go off was is that we know that Bob Mueller, for folks who don't know, he was doing the Russia investigation, basically, just for shorthand. Robert Mueller, Vietnam veteran, prosecutor, dare I say, probably not the best, investigator into Donald Trump at his time. I think when he was a top investigator for not government law firms, but Southern District of New York type shit. Like when he was younger, but I think we caught him kind of in his golden years. Clearly, I mean that was what 3-4 years ago, and he has passed, and he's passed, and our president responded to it in a way that it's very much him. I'm not sitting here acting like I'm a big fan of Bob Mueller. And I think Bob Mueller was this archangel that was here to save us. But, ultimately he didn't do anything, bad to me. He was a Republican. So, I mean, clearly he's a piece of shit. So, I mean, I don't know. But, but he served his country, whatever that might mean. And he served in the capacity within itself. Now, one thing we know about this country is that this country does not hold power, specifically white men, to account. So I think to a degree he did his job. But with his passing came Donald Trump's, again, it's in the same vein of the Barack Obama, Michelle Obama in ape costumes. It's in the same vein of grab him by the pussy. It's in the same vein of him making fun of disabled people. And he posted this tweet that was really reprehensible. But is it out of the norm? Is it out of the norm? And I think all this stuff is meant to battle on our emotions and battle on our ability to keep the message straight, right? That he doesn't care. And the thing is, it's not so much about him, Ron, but it's all the people that was also in our cities and towns and rural areas telling us that we're bad people. Jobs were firing people for us to not give a fuck about every neo-Nazi's favorite podcaster who was killed by another white supremacist, supposedly, or I don't know, Israel. I don't know. But the point is that people were getting fired for all of us who had to deal with that vitriol to be like, I don't care that he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, so first off, Robert Mueller, he did the Russian investigation.
Yep.
Before then, I can't really say that I knew who he was.
I didn't.
But even as he did the investigation, obviously he's a Republican, and but I think there's certain positions that are supposed to be, nonpartisan, right? You're just supposed to be doing the job as it is. I think a lot of that, was the case with at least what I've observed during those years, right? Trying to, be a straight arrow, not getting involved in politics. Trump had harassed him as he was investigating, and just kind of ignored it and all these things. And I don't think I've really ever said one thing one way or another about Robert Mueller. I mean, like it was just like one of those things where I think the man was doing his job, trying to do his job as best he could, and I think when you're investigating the leader of the Republican Party, like it seemed objective to me. And then you look at his resume, take it how you will. He was a Navy. He was in the Navy. He was in the military.
Yep.
He was in combat.
He's in Vietnam.
He served President. He served President Bill Clinton, George Bush. He was the Attorney General again for George H.W. Bush. So he worked under Ronald Reagan during the Obama administration. He was in the Marines. I mean, just a decorated career. I mean, regardless of where he stands politically, I don't think he was that outward with his political leanings, but like that's an accomplished life. I mean, that's not anything to blink at. I mean, that was somebody who earned their role. And you look at who's replaced who's the current FBI director. We're down to Kash Patel.
Well, a fall from grace.
I mean, yeah, let's just take a look at Kash Patel real quick.
Like just a picture. Just a picture's fine because like
that's probably that's the majority of like his bio.
That's almost a too good a picture of Kash Patel. You got to find him doing his like psycho stare. But yeah, what's his pedigree?
He's Indian Ugandan, not much different than Mamdani. He was a public defender. He worked for. He investigated the Benghazi attack.
There you go.
He worked in a few things and House Committee aide, National Security Council aide, Chief of Staff to the Secretary of Defense during the last few days of Trump's. That's it. It's pretty much just Trump. No real, that's it. I mean, that's it.
Michael Cohen, who was one of the early anti-Trump, but now is launching a podcast with Laura Loomer, so kind of back to Trump, which is why we never need to trust any of these Trump people. But he talked about like why the circle of influence around Donald Trump and why it works that way. That, Michael Cohen didn't have a great resume. He didn't have a good pedigree either. And he says that he hires these people that would never get the big time jobs. They would never get the big celebrity jobs. They would never get the big high profile roles. And he knows that they're incompetent, but things when you don't have the confidence of your labor, then he knows that you'll lean on loyalty because you never would have got this paycheck. You never would have got this publicity. You never would have got these highlights. And Kash Patel is a fantastic example of that. This guy was, before Trump became in office, he was a podcaster. He was selling KSH clothes and shit like that. I mean, mind you, his name is Cash App. That's his name, folks. His name is Cash App Patel. So he's a transactional hoe. You want to slide him $40 on the table, he'll do some strange for some change. You might fuck for $1. That's Kash Patel. But this is someone who has peaked in probably middle school, who has peaked in in life at a very early age, because any respecting attorney or professional wouldn't be so excited to go and be in the men's hockey locker room with champagne and pouring it on himself like a college sophomore. So this is someone who I'm sure is also involved in the honey trap. But again, as we're comparing apples to apples to Robert Mueller, it's like it just shows how bottom of the barrel Donald Trump needs to have people be loyal. And honestly, Robert Mueller wasn't. He said in front of Congress, if he was not the president of the United States, these are charges that you could absolutely arrest him on. And Donald Trump never forgot that shit.
Yeah. So, what did he say to exactly? You got the.
Yep,
Is there,
yep. I got you. I got you. So, folks, this is your favorite president. Hoping y'all appreciate his sense of
When
couth.
this man dies of natural causes, calm the hell down, MAGA. There will be celebrations in the streets. There will be partying. There will be fireworks. There will be streamers. There will be joy and happiness. There will be glee.
But just for folks who are listening in, so he has Donald Trump's tweet or truth, his live social behind him. And this is, I'll read Donald Trump's tweet or live social. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald John Trump. And I was listening to Ruth Ben-Ghiat on some other podcast who wrote the book Strongmen. She talks about authoritarians and dictators and despots. And she reminds us over and over again, she does in the book as well, is that a despot sees himself and the nation as one. So anytime he talks about they're coming after you, he really means they're coming after me. So just a little, decoder ring on your ears. But yeah.
There will be people smiling from ear to ear. No, it will not be a celebration of life. It will be a celebration of death. It will be a good riddance party that the world has never seen before. And it won't just be here in the United States. It'll be around the world. It'll be a worldwide event. People in many, many other countries will be so full of joy. He will be mocked. He will be dragged until the end of time. There will be holidays made about this, and not to celebrate his birthday or his life. It will be specifically to celebrate the day he died. And I need MAGA to understand that when all of that does occur, because it will, mind you, by the way, he's only like a year or so younger than Robert Mueller was, so, I'm not smiling, you're smiling. No, we're all smiling. We will all be smiling. But when you do see us celebrating, when you see smiles on our faces, when you see video after video of just talking about how happy we are that he is gone, and you judge us and say, I cannot believe you people would do this, so much for the tolerant left. This man is a human being. He's dead. How come you do this? I want you to remember this right here. He gave us permission, okay? He told us we're allowed to do this. So when it does happen, we're just following his lead. He would want us to laugh when he dies. He would want us to be full of joy when he croaks. These are the same people probably flooding the comment section saying, man, good riddance to Robert Mueller. These are the same people who were judging us for not giving a shit that Charlie Kirk was killed. And to
Yeah, I mean, this is a man who said, I'm not getting into heaven. The entire like foundation of Christianity is one,
to get to heaven.
You acknowledge that you're a sinner,
Right?
And you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and who dies for your sins, so you repent for your sins. He thinks his sins are so bad that he's not getting into heaven, and he doesn't portray that. He basically admits he's not even trying to. Like, yet white Christian nationalists have latched on to this man as their leader, who has more traits with the devil than he does with Jesus or anything in the Bible. I mean, there's cautionary tales. They're definitely in the Bible, right? But like, I mean, so that's problem number one, right? I mean, that entire like facade, this whole mental gymnastics, that he's a man of God, that he's a Christian, that he's a good man, has no weight. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. He posts celebrating somebody's death, and for what did he do? I mean, he, like you said, he uses language like he hurts you, when he's talking about me because he needs you. Like, I think the one probably I went to a Catholic college, DePaul University. I took two courses. I had to take a couple religion courses. One was the New Testament. The second was cults and alternative religions.
Hmm.
And I feel like I need to go back and like kind of review and understand like the traits of the cults. And a lot of people would argue that a lot of mainstream religion is called. There's lots of sects. There's a lot of different denominations within Christianity alone. They have different beliefs, different traditions. But like, I mean, the way that people follow this and put him on a pedestal is as if is the next coming of Christ. I mean, uh, it is something to behold.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's that they need him, to be all these things. They need him to be this. It's because, like, on one end, he's over peace, this super powerful, inevitable being that what he wants, the military must do what he wants, America must move to. But then the other end, he's this weak ass dove. He's this weak ass lamb that's always under attack, and the media is mean to me, and Jimmy Kimmel's mean to me, and the left is mean to me. It's like, well, what shit is it? And it's the attack. It's the attack of the of weaponized prosecution, and it's like it's this constant big. But when you're always talking about him, whether it be he's this savior or this villain or this under attack lamb, you're always talking about him.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about when you're centered, when whiteness is centered, when white maleness is centered. It's always the savior, but it's always they're coming for the white men. It's harder than the white man in the workforce, and it's like, dude, like, but that's why they vote for him. That's why white men overwhelmingly vote for him out of all groups of men. They see themselves in him, the victim mindset, and then they project it on the rest of us that you're a victim. In reality, it's your own fucking thing. Y'all used to eat people. Y'all used to hang us. You did redlining. You fucking you shipped drugs into our communities. You kidnapped us from our homelands. You eradicated the indigenous people. Like, we're just judging you on your own fucking resume. And what Trump says is like, you know what? None of that matters. You're good because you are an American white man, a red-blooded white man. And like, that shit is the as I've been saying, like, this shit's been falling apart for the past, honestly, before he was even elected. And I think that's why the white America was so gung-ho to vote for him, because he was offering one last chance to believe the lie.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, at this point it's laughable, but yeah, if there's one person that I would look forward to croaking, it's him.
Oh yeah, no question.
And to be honest, there probably is only one.
That's it. Like, that's probably it.
It's like but he's centered, and it's like, here we are talking about him, and it's like, once he's gone, it doesn't. It's like this system continues. These crazies continue.
I did hear this. I want to get your take on it. They did say, I saw the video on Instagram, but it was a good premise. And I was like, oh, that's a good. I never thought about that. What do you think about this? They were saying that the circular firing squad has kind of already started, right? Where, I don't know, President Tulsi Gabbard in front of Congress last week saying, only President Trump gets to say who is a threat, right? Even though she's in charge of DNI, right? Like, but she's saying that only Trump is over, basically throwing him under the bus, that he's the one that said bomb that school with his little girls. He's the one that says bomb oil refineries and do chemical warfare, raining oil on millions of people where they'll have cancer for years, right? The wagons have already kind of circled around him. Now, this is the premise, and I don't know what you think about this, that they need him to go out like a martyr. He can't just die as an old man. Because if he goes out like, even if it's just like, he was too stressed out, they'll use that as he's a martyr, went out like that. Like, well, it's the Democrats, they won the midterms and Trump croaked because of the stress. Because if he's a martyr, then they can continue to kind of go on his cause. If he just dies in his bed, it kind of does. He's a human like the rest of us, right? He needs to go. That's why that fight shit mattered. You know what I mean? So what do you think about this?
I mean, you look at Charlie Kirk. I mean,
but he had no power though.
Yeah, he had no power, but I think he has more power in death than he does in life. Like he, they used his whomever, like whether however he got killed, whatever. But they're definitely using his name. They're using his organization. You're using his death as a tool. Since he's died, I mean, more people know. Like that's just the way it is. With when people die, they're you know they get more notoriety, fame, right? Maybe more than they would have gotten when they were alive. But in terms of, and I think it's very much the same. I think there's a lot of this. I think that was orchestrated. I mean, again, you get shot or whatever, you don't even know what's happening. People are shooting. Have you ever seen somebody get up and have you ever seen anybody get up in the middle of a gunfight? Like,
Get up in
like
the middle of it.
like cheer, like cheer and
No.
fucking raise their fists before they know what's going. Like, imagine have you ever seen? Did you ever see like JFK? Did you ever see anybody getting assassinated and the first thing they think of is to
Well, no,
fucking
because they're assassinated.
they're well in the middle of their as they're before they're dying, their last
Like as
breath,
they're
right?
seeing the bullet come, they're like,
As they're
yo.
being carried off into not every assassination, and some of them are attempts, right? But like, have you ever seen that, like anyone just kind of like cheer and
No.
yeah,
To answer your question,
like,
no.
and this is before you know what's happening, right? It's
Right.
chaos. It's supposed to
Right.
be chaos.
Yeah, you should try to get to safety, getting
And
ushered off into a limousine that's bulletproof, stuff like that.
And you see cameramans and like, look, I mean, cameramans, their jobs to record these things, take it for what you will. But I mean, they're over here like, guiding the cameraman, like, get this shot. And
Hold
then
on,
they get
Mike.
these perfect shot with a flag in the
They
background.
lowered the flag. The flag came down. Like that's the crazy shit. Like it actually lowered as he was like rising out, like fight.
So
like,
that that in itself, I mean, I remember when they put out that picture, and I said the first thing I thought to myself, I sent a text like, I gotta look at this motherfucking picture for the next fucking 10 years, right? Like this man is now the martyr, the fighter, and this was before they added the fight to it. Like, and I remember vividly, it was like maybe the same day. It was the same day, and so yes, absolutely, and I mean he is a useful idiot to many people.
mm-hmm.
So when they decide that they're done with him, I mean, do I think that he will willingly participate? No, absolutely not. But yeah, I think that how he dies it'll have to be used in a manner that you very much said, right? Stress killed him.
You did it, Democrats.
Killed him, or if he falls down the steps, like
you did it. You made the step too slippery with your liberal tears.
So and then what's the next day? And then we get Vance, sworn in, and Vance starting to attempt his grab at power and start to try to sound like a strong man, try to sound like an alpha. And
he ain't got it, man. Vance ain't got it.
He does not. But
let me tell you why. Hey, my wife, Usha, Erica, they both end in Usha or Erica. It's gonna be like some 1984, like they're mixing in Usha, Erica. Right. Couchy. I call her Couchy. Usha, Erica, Couchy. I tell you, she believes that what's happening in Iran is great. It's like, dude, no one gives a fuck about you, bro. Like, you have no cult following. You are somehow you're even weaker than Trump, even though Trump is a weak ass bitch. Like, Trump is weak as fuck. Like, if that was my granddaddy, I'd be mad as shit. I'm like, you dodged. You had 5 deferments from the war. You bone spurs, you're a rapist, you're a pedophile. You're mentioned the most in the Epstein files outside of the eponymous named Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like maybe I need to like just listen to more like people with psychiatric backgrounds and mental health backgrounds, because a lot of this can be just explained. This whole phenomena can be explained through from a psychiatric lens, right? Like, he's like this man, like the people that are attracted to the narcissism and the domination or the perceived, this man is strong. I mean, they have to create these photos of, Superman with Trump's face on it, and all of these, like him being like Rambo, so it's like,
and it's all homoerotic.
And he is weak. He's weak. He gets, if somebody says something, people who don't hold themselves accountable, they have no introspection, they have no empathy. Like they'll tell you that empathy is a weakness. They'll tell you introspection is a weakness. They'll tell you that to not apologize for anything. There's no accountability. And that's kind of what allows like these type of people to get into these positions, because there's a lot of people that will idolize that and put that behavior on a pedestal. And they'll look at them like they're powerful, and they'll see, especially like this was white underdog, and I see myself in him, and he's for me, and he's for the working man. It's like there's nothing that has ever given that, like in his history, that has given. So yeah.
Well, speaking of, here's this clip of his the director or Secretary of Treasury, Scott Besson. I give him a little French accoutrement on his name. Here he is this morning defending Donald Trump. Tweet about Robert Mueller. So this is the party of Christian conservatism. Right? Don't forget, folks.
It's appropriate for the President of the United States to celebrate the death of an American citizen, someone who's a Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient, and who served in Vietnam?
Kristen, I was with the President in the green room at Davos, and there was a video playing of what may have been an illegal raid on his home at Mar-a-Lago. They are going through his wife's wardrobe, and I watched the look in his eye, and I think that neither one of us can understand what has been done to the president and to his family.
But to the question of the president's post, I mean, Robert Mueller didn't order that raid. Is it appropriate for the president to celebrate the death of any American citizen,
again,
Mr. Secretary?
I think that given what has been done to President Trump and his family, it is impossible for either of us to understand what he has been through.
So you don't think that there's anything wrong with the post saying good Robert Mueller's dead?
Again, I think that we should all have a little empathy for what has been done to him and his family.
All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you sound like a better spoken Elon Musk, that guy. I wouldn't even say well spoken. You act like a criminal, you get treated like a criminal.
No,
they're literally throwing people in cages and killing them for not being documented correctly, or being documented citizen. Yeah. So they kill people for less.
Have sympathy on the man that has a castle on the beach who shits in a gold toilet. He's just like you. He has a castle on the beach with a golf course around it, and he shits in a gold toilet and eats pizza with forks and knives. Have sympathy for him, people. feel bad for it. Like, we were fucking Donald Trump. And to be honest, in hip hop culture, as you know, growing up as a hip hop head too, like we heard Donald Trump's name a lot, right? But I ain't gonna lie to you, I never liked that shit back then either. I was never like, oh, Bill Gates, Donald Trump, let me in. I was like, what the fuck is Nelly talking about? I mean, I knew who the people were, but I was like,
I fucked with that. But
you fucked with that bar? Oh,
Nelly. I fucked with Nelly. I like when he came out. I remember I was like, I was bootlegging this shit.
No, I mean, I like the song.
Now, in retrospect, I'm glad I was bootlegging and stuff at least.
No, I'm saying I like. Look, don't you ever get me wrong. I like country grammar now. I'm just saying, but like when he got that problem, like, or Jay-Z. I'm in the Trump International. Ask for me. I'm like, I feel like this is before he was political, or at least in my mind, political.
I do. I'm not gonna say blame. Some of like the boomer generation or whatever, but there was a period. I think there was a period when after the civil rights movement, after there was, given the right for, Black people to vote and some rights, civil rights were actually granted. There was a collective sigh of relief where people felt like it was mission accomplished. Like that's my perception. I feel like, there's a couple things I remember, like growing up, like Rodney King, the Watts riots and certain things, but ultimately, I feel like there was a generation that was just sleeping. I mean, you had R. Kelly hanging outside of the high school, and people just knew about it. Adults just knew about it, and just kind of chilled back. You had Donald Trump in the '80s going at, or the '90s, going after the Central Park Five, and saying these things, and it's like, at what point was he redeemed where something like The Apprentice could come out and then it was just acceptable for especially for Black folks to watch and be entertained by? I watched it, and yeah, I was entertained. I
watched it.
had no idea about Central. I had no idea.
I was gonna say, like when I watched it when I was, because it was like early 2000s, I had no idea about the Central Park 5 shit.
Right. And
And I'm just being
but
honest.
I was aware of things like redlining, and I was aware of like
I wasn't. I ain't gonna like y'all. I wasn't this payroll.
Let me put it like this. I don't know what happened first, but
Ron was always woke, y'all. Ron was woke. He came out the womb.
I became aware. I became aware of things like redlining. I remember like the Million Man March. I remember like certain.
I remember the Million Man March because my uncle went there.
But like, I don't remember anyone ever saying like, Trump was a piece of shit. I didn't remember hearing that until probably around the birtherism, when he started saying Obama was not a citizen. And you saw him in pictures with Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Trump.
I guess it's gonna be okay.
Was a Democrat. Like, so I never idolized the man. But anyways,
look, it's Donald Trump and Diddy. He's got to be good.
Yeah. So I think there's a more consciousness that there's a lot of piece of shit men, like, not just consciousness, it's also like it's partially due to social media, right? The age of information, the fact that these things there's recordings, grab them by the pussy kind of opened up that initially. When there's a recording, things become more real. Hence, Rodney King, he wasn't the first and only man to be, beat by the policeman, by police. There's a lot of instances that are far more egregious than that we know, you and I might know about, and there's a lot of things that we don't know about, but there's things that we know about, they don't know because there's no video. They've just never been treated the same. So if everyone's looking for the smoking gun of like Donald Trump, having sex with an underage or a child, they wanted, I don't know if they want a video to come out or what, and I just don't think it matters. I tell you, like, they're just trying to change the age of 14. They see that age as an acceptable age, that they have the ability, the women have the ability to be, children have the ability to be pregnant at 14. Like, the Meghan Kelly, they're just normalizing everything for not just Trump, but for a lot of
Yeah, these are some dastardly, disgusting white people. That's what it is. I think they're showing even in the comments right now.
But it's just like, and then you put everything in history, and it's like, it's just history is just repeat. Like, it's just literally how the American history has always been, right? So it's I just think we were like I said, I grew up thinking, hey, we're moving in the right direction.
Me too.
And for many years, I'd say
bro, you are not wrong for thinking that. I just want to be clear about that, because I think sometimes we beat ourselves up for being like that, for like, oh man, like I didn't know. It's like, that's okay.
Yeah. Like I can talk about slavery and civil rights, all these things, that just atrocities, and be like, but at least we're, moving in the right direction. Yes, there's crazy shit that's still happening, but it always felt, and we were moving in the right direction, correcting the wrongs. Like, was it enough? No, absolutely not. But are we moving in the right direction? Like, and I want to say like that was enough. But to be honest, like the Democrats and people have maintained that facade where that was enough, and now like that veil's lifted, and it's like, okay, clearly that wasn't enough.
Yeah, you again, and I think what the point you're making is how I look at it as someone who's done activism work and is trying to deconstruct, realize that all of us. And this is when white people, they're trying to split the hair. They're like, well, Republican. There was something in the chat right now. Trump used to be a Democrat. It doesn't matter. If you came to the American education system, American media system, American entertainment culture, you have been indoctrinated into white supremacy. Period. So all of us have to, once you acknowledge that, Now it's on you to unlearn that. Now it's on you to deconstruct that. So when you're getting to all this tricky, that the person in the chat right now, he used to be a Democrat and Democrats the KKK, it's white people. At the end of the day, the majority of white people want this system to go this way. Period. That's the beginning and end of it. So what that means is it's incumbent upon me to educate my people. Start with educating myself to say that everything we've been told is a lie. Everything we've been told is a lie. All these institutions are corruptible because all these institutions are ran by people, and all these institutions are ran by people that have unexamined white supremacy and unexamined hate and unexamined racism, and that's just the end of it. So when the people are like, "Well, I'm a liberal this and I'm a conservative that," it doesn't matter because this system, even if you're not aware of it, or even if you're not actively participating in it, still serves you. And Donald Trump knew that to be true. Someone who is a third generation American, someone who doesn't have a single person in his bloodline that has ever dropped a single drop of blood for this country, is now going to send your children to war after 5 military deferments. Think about that, dog. Like, it's some wild shit. Like, and when people want to sit here and act like the issue is just Donald Trump, and to your point earlier, like we'll get JD Vance. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, we've always been fighting white supremacy. I don't care who you put in there. And even we had the chocolate wonder, Barack Obama, for 8 years. I think that's probably when we were kind of coming up. I think we were the same age. Like, we were in college. Like, we were like, okay, things are going the right direction, right?
Yeah, and mission accomplished. That was one of the worst things that happened. Like, not the worst things, but like I feel like,
yeah,
it was kind of like that what I was talking about with the post civil rights. It was like, all right, we chill. And what happened? Lost the majority in the 2010, and just couldn't really do anything. And I think even Obama took it for granted the first 2 years, and also the first 2 years he was trying to recover an economy and do healthcare, right? And so it didn't help that we let the foot off the gas, like the people who helped get him elected. And I think also, like, if Obama looked back, and I think you wrote something about this, but like if he looked back at that time, if he kept people engaged more, right, kept things hyped up, I think that those little things could have made a difference, kept the momentum going, right. But it was also in the beginning of like the age of social media, like that was like the early ages of social media. But anyways, but even like when 2016 to 2020, I remember like, okay, let's raising the flag again, of the red flag about white supremacy, and then like 2021, Biden came in. I was like, all right, chill out a little bit, right? Like, and then what? Here we are again. So I think it's like, so when he's dead, we can't just cut like okay, we're cool. If whatever happens in November, you can't just be like, oh, it's cool now, take the foot off the gas. Unfortunately, this is the fight for the rest of our lives, because this ain't something that's just like going to be fixed in a single election.
Well, I look at it like this too, Rom, is that we've had more time as a country under slavery than we haven't had under slavery. Right? So just as a nation state, we've had more time under enslavement rather than freedom from people who they were considered 3/5 in their parchment document.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say is that when these people, and I see it, within some of our cultures here, within the local politics, of like, we just get the next election, we get this person and we get Roy Cooper in, and like it'll all be. It's like this thing is 400 years of baked in results. The next election is not going to change that. What I always say, we have a cultural problem first and a political problem second. And until we're ready to deal with that, those who consider themselves liberals and progressives, and especially white liberals and white progressives, will always run to the end of the table. And to the end of the table is just the next election. When the Republicans are having a cultural, hegemonic, messianic, end of times, blood and soil, Nazi-like 1,000-year Reich strategy. And I'm not saying that off the cuff. They put it into on paper. It's called, Project 1981, and then that became Project 2025. So like they're serious about it. So all of us on the other side, we're like, if we just win Barack Obama in 2008, we're good. And that's when me and you, to your point, I talk about with people who are my age, my friend groups being like, damn, like that's when we thought shit was good. And shit was like low key good for us. Like we was out of college, like you kind of doing your thing. In reality, we should have put our foot on the gas. And this is why we need to push politicians to the left, because if not, the only ones that will be pushing are those from the right. And this is where you get things like the ACA, which was basically Romney Care from Massachusetts.
Right.
So like we have to, Mayor Mamdani, another good example. Like, right, he's progressive about. Stay on his fucking ass. People have been protesting him rightfully for the shit he's been saying about certain people. Good, because if you don't push him, then he's going to get pushed to the right. And it's incumbent upon all of us who want rights and resources, because that's the point of elections, folks, is for rights and resources, is to push these people in the direction we want them to go. And any centrist, any middle of the road person telling you you're doing too much, wait a second, hold on, they are in the lap of privilege, and they are not thinking of how if someone's rights are encroached upon, all of our rights are encroached upon.
Yeah, and also when you're negotiating, why would you wouldn't start in the middle if you're doing a serious negotiation, right? So the idea that, for example, I think single payer and more progressive, healthcare options being presented, and then you end up with Romney's healthcare, which Republicans were championing 6 years before that, and that was the compromise,
right?
And then they hated it because it was who was the messenger, right? So, and just to be just do everything the opposite of whatever that Democrats were proposing, right? So, it's the Democrats. I don't know. They're weak right now. They're just like, and I think a lot of the people, right? The people are weak right now. Like, we just want a centrist that like the centrists don't get things done. They don't move the needle. They get us moving further to the right. So anyways, what else we got?
You're right. Now, well, I mean, more news here within this that we're going to talk about is that like. We heard also today, and sounds like they're rolling out tomorrow when my wife's going to be getting on an airplane, is that ICE will be basically replacing TSA. And here's Dana Bash on CNN talking to Mushmouth himself, Tom.
Are ICE agents going to move into American airports starting tomorrow, Monday?
Yes. And I'm currently working on the plan now of execution, working with the director of ICE and administrator at TSA, the active administrator. So we'll put together a plan today and we'll execute tomorrow.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. First of all, are ICE agents even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
ICE agents receive a high level of training. And, the ICE agents are assigned at many airports across the country already. They do a lot of criminal investigation on smuggling at airports, but there's got TSA agents covering exits, people that enter through the exits. Certainly a highly trained ICE law enforcement officer can cover an exit, makes people don't go through those exits, entering the airport through the exits, and that stuff like that relieves that TSA officer to go to screening and to reduce those.
All right. I don't want to hear him fucking continue. It's like a mouthful of fucking marbles. So TSA will be, ICE will be assisting or supplementing TSA. I think. Go ahead. So I was going to say that this is a long-term Republican strategy. It's called Starve the Beast. Starving the beast is anytime the conservative party, because again, those Democrats, the predominantly white man party, when they do not want public services or public programs to be funded, they will defund them. They will defund them until they're just a hollow shell of itself, and then it collapses in on itself. Then they'll say, look, government's failing you. Government doesn't work. And then they'll have one of their buddies who's a crony sitting, waiting in the wings like, hey, well, guess what? I got a couple $1 billion. I can buy the TSA and privatize it and charge everybody just a dollar. If everybody just pays $1 every time they go to the airport and then get security. And then that becomes how they have, crony capitalism. And that's ultimately the goal. So this is what they're doing with, our healthcare. This is why we don't have healthcare.
Project 2025 says that their goal is to dismantle TSA.
Right. It's in there.
So they're planting the seeds now. Elon Musk is talking about, I'll pay them. Soon he'll buy them, right? Like soon, like you said, one of these, somebody's going to, they'll put them money together and they'll say, hey, we're just going to privatize it. They even said it. Actually, I don't know if you saw it, like maybe in the last hour or two, a couple of Republicans, what's that super dumb one? Tuberville.
Oh.
He said we need to just abolish ICE.
Just
and then
ICE or TSA?
I mean TSA. Sorry.
I'll say yeah.
But now
like, what? Tuberville?
Suddenly that language is acceptable. Look at that. They're not afraid to use that language.
Right.
We're talking about a government agency.
Because
we're not law enforcement, but
because we've always centered the most racist white man is whatever the fuck he says has to be the most true. And the thing is, as Audre Lorde says, we are citizens of the most powerful nation on the planet who's been on the wrong side of all human rights struggles. Sit with that. That quote is because so the point is we've always allowed who gets to say whatever be the most, who has the most privilege. And the sadder, they're the most, they lack self-awareness the most. They lack any true ability to, what was Andreessen say, to have introspection, right? So when you don't have that, all you have is just this like, we're the big bad, we could do whatever, we could say this, you can't say this, and it's like, but it's really weak, because if you can say it and I can't say it, how strong does that make you? And that's who's running this party. That's who's running this fucking, this neoliberal, neoconservative movement that is actively sending our dollars to the 1%, sending our dollars to the military industrial complex, sending our dollars to foreign wars that no one asked for, sending our dollars to cover up the Epstein files. And it's like, fuck Tuberville. So,
but you know what we're gonna hear? I promise you, we're gonna see abolish TSA like all week from multiple Republicans. Meanwhile, Jeffries and Schumer's and these are just reform, just needs a little bit of training and
around the edges,
but they'll come in and wrecking ball this shit and not even think twice. They did it with Doge. They did it. They abolished several agencies. They killed thousands of jobs. They killed thousands of people indirectly. So this whole thing is like, it's already a whole like, circus act, right? It's all a dog and pony show to me. But now they get ICE agents in the airports who have a very different mission than TSA, right? Like you wouldn't put, a salesperson in a technical role, right? Like you wouldn't one day just do it. You could. You wouldn't put a help desk person in a cybersecurity a role. You could.
You can do whatever you want when you got the power.
That's how you end up with, and that's what people do. That's how people cut corners, and that's how people end up getting, these businesses get compromised. They lose data. They get ransomware, so you can do these things, but it's not going to have a good outcome. And I think a lot of that's kind of already intended. I don't know what they'll do. I mean, it's stupid.
We're about to find out tomorrow.
It's stupid to begin with. Just
my wife flies out tomorrow.
Yeah, just pay. Be curious what her experience is. I mean, because I've been in Charlotte Airport several times in the past month or so, and the lines were normal.
Okay.
So, but these people aren't getting paid, right? And so,
right. So
Democrats were trying to create a bill to pay them, and Republicans want
saying no.
All this. They just want a blank check.
That's it.
So
Well, here's a brother. He actually his name's Dan Hamari. He actually did the intro to when J. Cole was dropping the Fall Off. When J. Cole dropped his teaser, he played a part of Dan Hamari's clip. So if you guys follow Dan Hamari, he's great. He's like a Instagram comedian, but he always talks real shit. This is his thoughts on Trump sending ICE into airports.
So Trump is sending ICE into the airports to help out TSA, who have been without funding for a few weeks now. The fact that Trump phrased this as a threat really is him showing his hand. It's really him telling us the role that ICE actually plays in American life, which is acting as his own little group of henchmen, his private army that he can send in to intimidate people. Because really, how does TSA and ICE even have the same skill set? How is this supposed to transfer? This would be like, if we're short on firefighters, so, we're going to send in some construction workers. Oh, those guys know how to wear a helmet. How different could it be? I mean, if airports have been messed up these last few weeks, then they're going to get really, really messed up now. Because if there's one thing ICE has shown that they're not good at, it's getting people where they're supposed to be. They were sending Venezuelans into Mexico. They were sending Mexicans to El Salvador. And these are the people that we're putting in charge of air travel.
Dan Amari. And he's making your point. So I was like, oh, that's a good segue. That you wouldn't have someone here to do that. You wouldn't have, you were short on firefighters. Go get some construction workers. They're good at wearing helmets.
Yeah, and the other thing, and I also have said this pretty much proves that this is like he's treating this like his personal police, like just send them to do this and send them to do that, and I think he realized that I think he knew that, but the National Guard isn't as like under his direct control. Too much legality, too much going through the courts and. Too much, working with the governors. So, now he's continuing to build this ICE, this, police force of his own to do what he wants, untrained. So, I know it's entertainment, but I think you posted the Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, I have that clip too. So I want to go into that because it's only about a minute and a half, but like, this is what they're talking about, and life imitates reality, which imitates, or art imitates life.
Art imitates life, and
it's all cyclical. It's all cyclical.
Yeah.
Here, let's play that and talk about, because this is what it might look like, folks. So let's see how Margaret Atwood, who invented The Handmaid's Tale, based off of her studies of right-wing religious people across the country. That's how she initially did her research for this book.
They said it was fine as long as we traveled together.
That's families.
We are a family. I'm his mother too. We're married.
Smart to bring this.
You're the one who gave birth to the child?
Yes.
Was it your egg or an implanted embryo?
Why is that any of your business?
Ma'am, this will go a lot faster if you cooperate.
Please. Just trying to cooperate. It's just we're going to miss our flight.
You should probably just send them on ahead.
We're staying together.
Well, you're certainly not going to Montreal with them today, miss.
I spoke to the agent outside. We're married. He said it was fine. Here.
This is not valid.
It has the stamp.
No, the document is no longer recognized. You are not married.
What?
It's forbidden.
Forbidden?
What does that mean?
Forbidden by the law.
What law?
The law.
You can't do this.
Miss, sit down.
I want to speak to your supervisor, and I need to see a lawyer right.
Was it your egg or an implanted embryo?
Yeah, I mean, you know, everything in there is like, there's already seeds of truth. There's already seeds of, you know, them attacking, you know, gay marriage, IVF, in vitro fertilization. Um, I remember when I left, it was over about a year ago, and I was like, well, you know, I'll just leave when the going gets tough. I was, fuck it, like, and you said, well, you might be trapped. I was like, well, shit. So, and it's funny. It's not funny, but I mean, these people were wearing ICE uniforms. This is, what year did this show come out? In 20,
like 2015,
something like that. Anyways,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're wearing ICE uniforms in the airport. So, you know, I don't know what was in her head when she wrote this, but obviously, it wasn't ICE when she wrote it, but like, you know, when they converted it to the television show, but like, they're getting this from historical reference points. They're getting this from friends. They're like, people are. It's not just entertainment, right? And is a lot of art is not just entertainment, right? They're political messages.
Yeah, when she was doing research for The Handmaid's Tale in the 1970s, late 1970s, it was, she's traveled the world to find misogynistic, religious-led societies. And I remember an interview I saw her years ago. Then they asked her, when she got done doing all of this research, they're like, what was the one common thread, right? She was studying Islamic, you know, people, you know, the Zionists of Israel, of course, Christian nationalists, you know, the Hindu nationalists, right? All these groups. She said, what was the common core? What was the common thread? And she says, and I remember this because it sticks out like a sore thumb in my head. She says, the common core to try to force women back out of the workforce and into the home is to murder all the children. Because if you murder the children, if it creates this maternalistic need for women to protect the children, and they stay home to protect the children. So, and then she said this in the 90s. So if you think about it, think about all the school shootings. Think about, you know, how COVID was handled. Think about, you know,
Gaza. And even think about things like Gaza. I mean,
Gaza,
targeting
right? Murder the children.
Iran,
the schoolgirls, right? Murder the children. And when we have men who think their strength is rooted in murdering children, or eating children, or raping children, or molesting children, or trafficking children, that's what this country's always been. Going back to slavery, but connecting that to Jeffrey Epstein's plane, saying that this country has always been an Epstein file. And like, until we can kind of understand that and grasp our minds around that, and get rid of the great man theory that, oh, George Washington was this, or, you know, but it's like this, what this thing, that's what the handshake for anybody that runs this country has. Will you allow this to continue on, where men, specifically white men, lead industry, lead the law, lead this? And even, you know, even if you have a Barack Obama, you'll still have the majority of judges be white, the majority of lawyers be white, the majority of CEOs be white. And that's what this thing is. And since those white women ain't having babies, and those are two lesbian women in that clip, that's why they have to get rid of same-sex marriage.
I mean, they create entire business models around it because they know that, you know, there's money to it. Epstein knew what he could do because there was a market for it. Mm-hmm. They know what they can get away with, and they know they can build prisons and fill them unjustly,
right?
Because they know that there's money for it. They know that they can bomb other countries because they can make more money. They can make more money. Why do you think they're all invested? They've been investing in, you know, weapons and warfare, and then they do it. It's just a cycle. It's like everything we put. If you put everything into perspective of, you know, history, through a lens of history, it's right there for us. I mean, that's why I enjoy, you know, talking with you, and you put a historical lens on it. It's like, and then people expect that we're different. There's nothing to there's not there's no reason to believe that we're different if we're doing the same thing over and over. Like, what makes you think, like, the audacity that you think that it's just going to be different just because we're American, right? Just because it's never happened to us before, or what you perceive as never has happened to us before.
But who's the us?
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, I mean, all I see is just going back, 50 years and then, or worse, more. But I hear a lot of people just say, like, I can't believe this is happening. This has never happened before. This is the first time. Like, and it's like, well, wait a minute. You got to be reminded. There's certain things that
they don't like that. They don't like being reminded that this country was always fascist. That's a bee in their bonnet, man.
Yeah, and I think that's what the purpose of our activism and our show and things is to hold the mirror up to like-minded or similar individuals or people who would call themselves Democrats, centrists, leftists, whatever it may be, to remind folks of these things in order to adequately be able to fight what's happening, right? Because us trying to, like, I'm not, like, we don't try to talk to MAGA, right? Like, yeah, we can point out.
I mean, you do,
like,
you do, low key. Right? You be trying to get them to come on, like, on the show. I'm like, wrong.
But it's a waste of. I mean, it's a waste of time. Like,
come on the show, bro.
Maybe a year or two ago. At this point, there's only two things that can happen. It's not going to be somebody that's kind of like telling them what's what. It's going to be that they're getting hurt directly themselves. Where they got to figure it out themselves. Maybe their family meant one last ditch effort, but, like, that's just going to happen. Like, it's not. I don't think there's certain things that are, like, a campaign is going to really change that drastically. I think at this point.
Who do you think it changes around? Like
the platform.
A leader could.
I was just saying,
in your opinion.
Hold on. I was just saying the platform. I think of what happens in these primaries and these candidates. I think that is what matters more. I think whether there's a Democratic Party or third party or independent, I think that's what needs to be the focus. But what were you saying? Sorry.
Who do you think it changes? I mean, do you think it's a singular person? Do you think who do you think could rise? And
I don't think it's a singular person. I do think that there's people who are have conviction, principles that can be genuine and stand 10 toes down, and the people who can communicate very well, right, and connect with people.
That's touchy too, though, bro, because you might get a Tallarico, and again, no offense against the brother. There's just certain shit he's not gonna say. There's just certain shit he's not gonna care about. He's not gonna care about. We had Dr. Montgomery on. He's not gonna care about black maternal mortality, even though it's killing our women. You know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna care. There's just certain shit he's just not gonna get to.
The thing about Tallarico is there's
and this is no shade to Tallarico, folks. I just using him as an example.
The thing about Tallarico is he can absolutely run a campaign and expand his platform and adequately step into things that Jasmine Crockett was focusing on and then some.
Agreed.
So and Jasmine Crockett, I mean, I think who she communicates with and who her base was, I think it's two different crowds that they're attracting, and I think hers base is just as important, if not more important. I think Texas in itself is a hard state to make any kind of progress in. I mean, it's a minority majority state, right? Like, it's already suppressed. It's already heavily gerrymandered. You got
the most registered Democrats are in Texas.
So a lot of I think the majority of Latinos there are Democrat, but, like, there's still a lot of conservative Latinos. So anyways, the point is like, I think both of them bring a new kind of a newer approach, regardless of, like, what their platform is. I think how they communicate with people, I think both of those have a place in 2026. But yeah, it's not going to be just one person. But I do think that, like, people just need to, like, be like, no one likes Jeff. Like, when was the last time you heard somebody say Jeffries when we were warning about Jeffries and or at least like vocally
They be
talking about
saying
on
that
here,
shit, dog.
and then we'd be like, and then we would go
Hey,
out and we would hear like, oh, I like Jeffries and I like Booker, and it's like,
I'll say this. They be talking about him on Sirius XM Urban View, and I like Urban View. Urban View is a very good Sirius XM channel for Black news and or news through a Black lens. There are some hosts on there like Clay Kane, who I love. Clay Kane, who wrote The Grift and wrote Burn Down Master's House, which I plan on reading this year. But he'll say some like middling shit like, all these progressives be against, Hakeem Jeffries, but he, I guess, serves his constituents, and they say they don't care about all the AIPAC stuff. And what Hakeem Jeffries says is that if you don't like him, vote him out. And it's like that naive take on Hakeem Jeffries and the engine behind him and the infrastructure and the millions of dollars and the ads you can run with AIPAC money and whatever. It's like, it's such a simplistic take, So like there are people who have influence that are still like, I don't see what's so bad. Roland Martin, Hakeem Jeffries is a good brother, blah, blah, blah. And using all that civil rights talk that Hakeem and Cory Booker like to use is how there are certain people of an older generation than us, or maybe, mid 40s, late, early 50s, early 60s generation, who were like, I mean, what's wrong? Stop trying to bring a black man down. And what they're not saying is like the black man's working with the white man. Like the black man's working with the worst kind of white man. The genocidal white man, the ones bombing schools and shit. It has no clarity of his convictions at a time where we need leaders, but they'll lean on Martin Luther King and Cory Booker's, his book is named Stand because he stood for 25 hours. And like, they're using all the, the ornamental value of the civil rights movement, but none of the substance. And that's the problem of places.
Yeah, I think the platforms should not be created based off of what's polling well and what's
right.
what may be seemingly politically expedient, because you got to remember, like 33% of the people are Republicans, generally speaking. 33% are Democrats, and 33% don't vote. So if I'm a mathematician, if I'm doing math, I'm gonna look at this and say my biggest opportunity is that 33% that's untapped, not trying to tap into somebody else's 33%. Because Trump got new voters by saying some new shit that people could relate to, that wasn't just a typical Republican conservative, right? He started talking to things that they were relating to, hatred, whether it was hatred or whatever.
He didn't say anything. He didn't have nothing new.
He tapped into that. So like, if you
right.
sit here and say like, well, I have to try to go after these people who vote, and that's it, and we're just going to keep chasing back and forth, and independents just hold all the cards. And I think that's a dead strategy, right? Because why aren't these 33% people voting? Figure that out, right? If you can figure out why those 33% aren't voting, and
you don't need all 33%.
And a lot of times they'll say they don't feel represented.
But you don't. The thing is, to your point though, you don't even need to get everybody.
Right.
You get an extra 4% of that 33%. You just make that 33% turn into 28%, 29%. Ball game, right?
And I don't think that that's going to happen just by saying affordability over and over. I mean,
right?
Like
I don't
think they were really saying affordability until after Mondani won. Like,
oh god,
the Jeffries. Like, I just like everything Schumer and Jeffries say. Like every post, it's just the affordability. Like they're affordability robots. Like that's all they say is affordability.
Right.
Like they're playing it so. They just play it safe. We're just going to say this. The safe word of the year is affordability. We're going to win on affordability.
And it's the most hollow usage of the word, right? They're just, to your point, they're sounding like parrots, right? They're echoing it off their own.
I mean, Trump's not wrong. Like he's like, what's affordability? Like, what is it in itself, right? Like,
right. Someone who was born with a silver spoon up his ass will never know what the fuck what it's like trying to, hold this money for these bills here, or call the creditor to try to get an extension. Like he doesn't know what any of that shit's about, right? But I think the affordability thing that Schumer and Jeffries are using, they're saying it because they're trying to ride the coattails of Mamdani, someone who Hakeem Jeffries still hasn't truly embraced, someone who Chuck Schumer was scowling at during his inauguration. Like this is, we're at a moment where we have such corporate owned, controlled opposition that to your point, it has to be us. It has to be us. And I got one last clip before we get out of here that I think to really put a button on what you're saying. This is for the folks who are like, well, what do we do? And folks are going to be moving. And this video, it stuck out to me. I was like, well, man, I got to put this on the show either Sunday or Tuesday. But and I think you'll definitely appreciate this one.
This might get me canceled, but I'm going to say it anyway. A lot of people keep dropping in my DMs or my comments the fact that the next No Kings March is March 28th, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to be there. The reason I'm not going to be there is because March 28th, it's a Saturday. I am tired and exhausted of performative protesting and demonstration. If you want to have a real impact, plan your No Kings Day for like a random Wednesday. Make people miss school, miss work, miss their normal routines. Make people that are at the tippy top of the economic pyramid feel the weight of what it is like when a whole bunch of people stop engaging with the system for a day. That's the kind of protest I want to go to. I don't want to go to yet another demonstration or yet another protest where it is conveniently located on a Saturday on the calendar. So, cancel me if you want, but I just can't get behind this shit anymore. I want something real and tangible and changing because we've done a number of these now at this point. And last I checked, Donald Trump has given Iran a 48-hour timeline before he allegedly is going to start striking their power grids and power plants. And at the same time, on Monday, we are allegedly getting ICE officers in our airports across the country. Clearly, this doesn't work. Let's make it matter.
Thoughts? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
I don't know what happened. At one point, at some point, they're once a quarter. I mean, at this point, they're once a quarter. To a point, they're like, we talked about their time box, 12 to 2. You know, get your parking spot, get out, get your sign.
Police, get right this way, sir.
Yeah, you're being directed by the police. You know, I think there's a thing about
excuse me.
I don't think that people. I think that people need to stop playing it safe. What I mean by people, I mean people who, especially the people who run for office and politicians. Like, I think they need to, you know, have their convictions, have their values, run on what they believe to be true, but also like what the people in their community want. And it might not always be expanding, and it's okay to lose. Like, you have to start planting those seeds, right? That matters too. Mm-hmm. And you know, when you are in a position of power, whether you're King Jeffries or whether you're, you know, Jasmine Crockett or Tallarico or, you know, whomever, you can plant. Like, if you're an effective leader and you can communicate, you can plant that seed. You can actually start to get people power behind you. If Jeffries, and I pick on Jeffries because obviously, but like, if he started sounding like a freedom fighter, if he started sounding like the man of the resistance, you know,
what would that sound?
He will lose his money, he'll lose his donors, right? You know, he will be the focal point. Was Trump don't talk about him. Nobody talks about him because he's not a fucking threat. He's just
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Right. And so whomever these people are that have more power than you and I do, or in positions of power, more like they can, you know, and that's why I talk about unions all the time, because that's a that's a very obvious collective where it's not like a single one person. At some point, because we've been talking about doing, you know, more like doing a national, you know, general strike.
Can't wait to 2028.
And it happened. They did one for 3 days, and like, I would love to. I'm like, every time I see one, I'm like, all right, I'm with it. Let's do it. Like, okay, the unions want to go on strike. Like, okay, I'm with it. Let's do it. But like, you know, 50-51 and, you know, Indivisible and the people who kind of coordinate these No Kings Day, like, it's hollow. Like I said, it would be more useful if everyone who attended these stopped shopping at Target for a year. I mean, or forever, right? Like, or for even a month.
A month. If white people stop shopping, fuck even a month. Let's do a week.
That would have more impact than going to the, you know, the parade. I'm sorry, but like, and I've gone. Like, we observed it, and like, I'm with Indivisible. You know, the canvassing has some purpose, but like at
We're
some
kind of
point, it's
past
just
it
not
though. That's
enough.
the problem. We're kind of past all of this. Like
Yeah,
we're
like canvassing is like that's fighting over that little 33% over, just getting out the regular voters. I mean, it's
but
already
that's for an
targeted. It's
election time.
targeted for voting people. Like every canvass you do, it's based on people who've already voted and just trying to get out the vote. It's not
Well,
trying to get anybody new. It's not talking about new ID. Like, so again, people think that this isn't normal.
well, we just played a clip, right? Of
She's getting tired of it. She's been moved, right? I don't know who she is.
yeah.
But she's been moved. At first, she was like, "Hey, this is. I feel good. This is working," And I think that people are moving to more progressive stances because, like, people are waking up that this shit ain't working, right? And so people playing it safe, like, again, I'm Jeffries and Schumer, and they're playing it safe for what purpose? Like, what is there to like? People want something different, and I think when money is controlling you, and I had this thought the other. This is super random, but all these, it's somewhat random. I mean, kind of reflect back on myself and what I'm trying to do, right? But like
introspection, if you will.
Yeah. You see these organic food companies and the healthy food companies and for kids, and then you see that they all just sell. You've seen like the black hair products. They've all pretty much, not all, but I can think of a few brands, right?
Shea butter. Yeah.
And you know what? That's their prerogative of these owners. But I think I think that you as an owner, when you create something that is what's environmentally,
conscious,
conscious, environmentally conscious, community conscious. I think you got to kind of go in beforehand to say, like, here's what I'm willing to, like, I don't actually need to be a 500 millionaire. I don't need to be a billionaire if I'm going to stick with this, because I want to continue to create this and grow it myself. And maybe it is fantasy, right? Because they'll probably just try to recreate your brand and take you out the market. So I understand why people feel like they need to sell. So I'm not knocking these owners of these companies, but I'm just saying, like, it's really hard this capitalist society makes it really hard for you to, and when everything's driven by money, it just makes it really hard for you. And I don't know where this corruption, when it happens, because I haven't experienced it, but like Hakeem Jeffries and all these people who are being paid by AIPAC, and that's their number one priority of whomever's paying them the most to say something or not say something. And they might say, just be gentle about it. Like, you can put it in your policy, but don't like come after us that hard. Like, that's what I imagine these conversations to be like. Like, just make it look like you're putting up a fight. Give them something. Give them people what they want, but like, don't give them too much. And like the money is, and this kind of came from our conversation on Thursday. Like, if the money is just driving everything and driving everyone's decisions, then we're screwed. And the one thing this is history repeating, but the biggest wild card we're running into is technology and AI. And I don't think we're ready for it. I think at this point, we're just we're like signing our own death wish.
When you have Sam Altman out there saying that it's going to destroy the world and it's going to, we're going to make it a utility that we're going to put a meter on and charge you for it, for knowledge. Like, we are dealing with real life Batman villains. We're dealing with real life Superman villains who have this. We talked about the sociopathy of these people who are propped up through speculative investment, who are subsidized through tax dollars, through lobbying efforts and government, kind of horse racing investment strategies, and all of this creates and also same people who are in the class of the Epstein class of people who are protecting the wealth and concentrated power of the 1%. Like, it's all the same thing, and this is why, like, until we're ready to put pain on the system, right? Until we're ready to say, I'm not buying that. I'm not going on that trip. I'm not playing. I'm going to take a week off work. What you got here?
Something you said, maybe look this up, but you said Sam Altman and OpenAI is a good example. Or actually, I didn't even know when you said that. As you were talking, I was like, let me look up OpenAI's original mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
It was in 2015. The mission was to advance digital intelligence in the way most likely to benefit humanity as a whole, specifically unconstrained by a need to generate financial return. They became, in the last 9 years, they've changed their mission statement 6 times, removed the word safely as a core value when restructured into a for-profit.
Mm.
So, Sam Altman wasn't always a billionaire.
Mm-mm.
OpenAI was not a for-profit company.
It wasn't.
They've now changed their tune. I mean, and you can even, if we probably looked at videos of Sam Altman 10 years ago, 15
I'm sure he
years ago,
sounds like he's a woker.
And then he's capitalizing off of an opening of Anthropic.
Yeah.
As they've lost the United States, nod to, and you remember, so I mentioned this before, Anthropic was started by people who left OpenAI because they strayed away from their original mission statement. And now that Anthropic doesn't want to play ball, they're going to say, well, we're going to fucking take your ball. We're going to take your profits. Now, do I think Anthropic is at a risk of being, demolished? No. They just happen to be so far in, and they have other, outlets outside of the federal government. But I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about, and that's at a billionaire level, right? Like, so again, I mean, we the people still have this power that we can use, and we stop giving our money to these corporations. It's hard. It's not easy to make it that way, but like,
well, it's hard, and I think the reason it's hard. You talked earlier about how we're in a capitalist society because capitalism teaches us scarcity. It teaches us that we're not enough. Not to get all Communist Manifesto, but Marx talks about that where he says the reason why the working class, the unemployed class, the homeless class, the reason they exist is to be a motivator for those who are in the working class, right? They're like, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that person. So you go get on that hamster wheel. Not only that is that they suppress your wages and they suppress your worker protections so that that at any given time it's precarious for your employment. So when you're reminded of that homeless guy on the corner who has that selling that water with a sign that says I got 3 kids, I'm a vet, that's there to remind you to stay on that hamster wheel. And then when you're also experiencing that, I don't have the car I want, I don't have the home I want, I don't have the promotion that I want, that all feeds into the same scarcity mindset that someone else can get it. Tommy from my office is going to get it. Now you're in competition mode rather than thinking in abundance how to build something bigger. And that's ultimately how we allow the 1% to consolidate power. I think we were talking last episode about like hearing all these billionaires talking or CEOs talking, they all sound like they're like 5th graders if you really listen to them speak. But because they have yes men around them who are still on that same conveyor belt to get to that end goal, it allows for all this corruption and malfeasance to take hold and become normalized for the rest of us to say that's how you want to be. That's why you get a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street. And I remember when I think I told you the story, like when I got my first job in Charlotte, moved from Fayetteville, and I was interviewing in this corporate space and tech sales company, and they're like, "Hey man," and this is like The Wolf of Wall Street had like just came out like maybe the year before, or maybe 2 years before, and they were like, "Have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, that's kind of like what it's like here," and I'm like, you got the wrong message from the movie. It was bad, but
sign me up.
But this is lacking media literacy and assuaging.
Like which part? Like you the drugs, the quaaludes, like the
right. I mean the brutal, all that shit. But like so this is why we're here. And to your point of why it's hard is because when you still want to take those trips, you still want to fly out, you still want to get flued out. And now we're seeing TSA ICE, and people are still like, I got to go to the island. It's like we're not thinking that we're in fascism. Now, us Black people, it breaks my heart. It truly breaks my fucking heart there's so many of us are deluded to believing that I worked this hard to get this extra degree. I got this master's degree. I got this certificate. I got this. I'm up here. I'm worth X, Y, and Z. And it won't affect me because I'm in the corporate elite 1%. It's already here. Your success, your short-term or recent success, whatever that might be, is just a side effect, and it is not meant to protect you. And so when I see Black people who are just totally not aware of what's going on, and I mean they know they're not like down with Trump, but they're just like, I don't know, we still doing X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah. And it's like, I need y'all to lock in. I need you to just start talking about mutual aid. I need y'all to start talking about how we're going to take care of these babies. I need y'all how to figure out how we're going to arm ourselves. But we're too busy stuck trying to catch the bag, even the metaphysical bag that doesn't exist. Because to your point of like, how do we have this sustained thing? A lot of us still aren't living in reality, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't. So they're just kind of sleep. This is what they want. They want you. They like, hey, you guys are getting too woke. You gotta calm that shit down.
It's the Matrix, right? It's the Matrix scene. I don't know if you've seen the Matrix.
It's been a long time. I need.
Okay,
that.
All right. So just real quick. So when the one guy who was on the Nebuchadnezzar, the bald guy who played the captain on Bad Boys, y'all probably know him. He was Pataliano was his name on Bad Boys, where he was the chief. You know the guy I'm talking about, the actor.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Okay, all right, cool. Anyway,
I mean, at least I know him from
Bad Boys.
Yeah, from Bad Boys, but
okay. Well, his character from The Matrix was the guy who's kind of like the turncoat. So he was on the Nebuchadnezzar, and he went and met with Agent Smith back inside the Matrix. And this scene was it's a very, very pivotal scene in the movie where they're like in this very nice restaurant because he's clearly out of his real world clothes, right? Where he's out of the Matrix, right? They're like wearing all these terrible clothes and eating gruel. And they're in this Michelin star restaurant. And he's sitting down with Agent Smith, the enemy, right? And this guy's the captain or the pilot of the Nebuchadnezzar. And he says, I just want to get put back in. I'm tired of eating gruel. I'm tired of running from robots. I'm tired of doing all this shit. I just want to get put. I want to come back to the Matrix, and I want to taste a steak. And he picks up the steak with his fork, and he says, and I want to come back, and I want to be someone important. And Mr. Smith says, whatever you want, Mr. Reagan. So that I think is the and I tell that story because that is kind of like what I think our subculture within Black communities. We fought so hard. We've heard about our ancestors being in the fields and getting trafficked and running and redlining and Jim Crow. And now it's like, I just want this fucking steak. I just want to be fucking important because I've been told my whole life we're not important. I've been told that we don't have history. I've been told that we ain't shit. I've been told our lives don't matter. And I'm in my late 30s. I'm in my early 40s. I'm a lawyer. I'm an engineer. I'm a doctor. I'm a this, that, and the third. I just want this steak. You can have whatever you want, Mr. Reagan. That's why it breaks my heart seeing so many of us do that shit.
Yeah, there's quite a few movies I have on my list to go back and watch.
Whenever you see that scene again,
now watch probably when I was sleeping.
Yeah, because I was like in 9th grade when that movie came out. But like, but when you rewatch it now, hopefully that scene you'll be like, damn, that shit. Like, because you could imagine because he was a part of the struggle, right? But the same thing happened with Fred Hampton. Same thing happened with Malcolm. Same thing there's always a turncoat. Same thing happened with Denmark Vesey in South Carolina when he was trying to free the enslaved people, and he had a turncoat. And I had my son read that story in our book of Great Negroes, and he's like, Dad, Denmark Vesey, the pastor who was trying to lead this insurrection against enslavement and free his fellow Black brothers and sisters, someone turned on him. I was like, there's always a turncoat.
You have to plan around that, right? Like that's the reality. Is like you have to assume.
But what happens when it's cultural? When there's a cultural turncoat?
What's a cultural turncoat?
What I mean by that is there is the petty bourgeoisie class, right? There's the petty bourgeoisie within the Black proletariat. There's like, again, what did I say? I want to eat this steak. Like, what do we do then? because they're never going to be down with like hold off labor, fuck the investments, fuck X, Y, and Z. Staying together. Go. They're not going to do that shit because I got my Mercedes, I got my big ass house, I got my stock portfolio. What do we do then, Ron?
That's a great point. I mean, I think in my mind, I've already accepted that, like, if I have to live a simple life, actually, it's not that, like, there's nothing bad about it. Like, when you think about it, like, I've started trying to be less materialistic, right? Like, buy less. There's definitely in my life two forces pulling at me, and to be honest, like, any given day I could be poor or be or be rich. Like,
it'd be like that. It'd be like that.
And I might just go into another country and just live a simple,
be a fucking grape farmer or some shit.
Where just people travel, like they said, people of our generation younger, like, they look more for experiences as opposed to, like, things,
right?
And I think about the things that I value, and like,
it's moments, experience.
I have an extra room. Like, what, it's like, like, what do you do with an extra room? I mean, what do you do with extra, like, a Mercedes instead of a Toyota, right? Or Lexus instead of a Toyota, or whatever, right? So, I mean, what does it matter in this, like, and I think you have to start thinking about that. Yes, you want to have, like, your accomplishments and certain things in your mind, like, yeah, it'd be cool to have a Maserati or whatever, but, like, where we're going, I don't think it matters. I don't think people have, like,
the world is dying.
It's like this isn't 2022, 2023. It seems like things are going to be all right. This is far different. I don't think people realize that, and I think that, for me, I see these things early. Like, I just kind of try to tell you, people need to start thinking they're going to be forced. Eventually, they'll be forced.
They will be forced.
You just have to be, at this point,
there will be a line drawn.
You can listen to. Then there's there's certain things that can happen that will stop it. But at this rate, I'm just like, we're way too far gone for me to live a normal life before I'm dead, like, or what I would have considered, like, that path of we're moving in the right direction. I think I kind of expect a far different shift in lives of Americans and humans in this globe, because there's a lot of things that are between World War III, precipice of World War III, and AI and technology. Especially when you talk about misinformation, disinformation. I mean, people were speculating that Benjamin Netanyahu was dead for 2 weeks. I mean, and I don't think he is, but, like,
and Trump. And remember that Trump was dead that weekend. You're that one weekend everybody thought Trump was dead,
and then you can create that illusion by just creating, like, whoever creates the video, they just want to throw it out there. They just want to throw out that little seed of doubt, right? Just to and that in itself. I mean, I think wars will be fought over something that comes out of this information, a deep fake, and elections. That was what the entire Russia Mueller investigation was even looking at in the first place, right? Like, anyways, and the whole Trump's whole MAGA, everything's based off of disinformation. Like, that entire thing is based off of lies. It's based off of propaganda. We talked about the election he talks about the election being stolen and all this stuff. And now you have doubt in every single election after that, like, all of this stuff. Anyways, I digress. I think that was a good one, but
yeah. Well, folks, we're gonna start doing these just stream of consciousness Sundays, where we're just like, we're starting a new week in hell. I think we just passed March 13th, which was the anniversary of COVID in 2020. And I posted of, like, just 2 weeks to bend the curve. And it said, like, that was the day we all died, and we've been living in hell ever since. And it feels that way. But even in hell, you can have community. And that's what we can build, a tower of Babel and climb our way out of this. And that's my goal here on the Radical Roots, right? Is that we have a fantastic community in our chat, and folks have reached out to us. Folks I mean, Ron's been posting viral shit, been going viral on motherfucking threads and shit. That shit's dope. So we're trying to build something, right? We're trying to get people to understand that, like, it's not just the folks who are Midas Touch, and not just folks who are on MS Now, and not just folks who are on CNN, and not just the famous people, the Don Lemons and the Joy Reids. That we got something here too. We're cooking too. And, we're talking directly to you in the way that we talk. We don't have any big time sponsors, but guess what? We have people. We have people that care about us and care about the movement and the mission, and they don't want all the, well, just in general, all the Democrats are bad. It's like, no, we want better. We deserve goddamn better, and you deserve better. And until we get all of us in stride to say that, we're not giving up. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. Ron, any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, I mean, one thing I will say is this hat is, says Scout. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but it was given to me by my former the owner of my former company, which sold the company. And it came with a kind of a story, like it's a personalized hat. It came with a story of that meaning me, said that I see things clearly long before anyone else does, and before they happen. Take of it what you will, how I am able to take in information from all over, right, and be analytical without, sitting here with a calculator and all these algorithms and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like if people can, you got to start listening to the people that sound crazy. If we sound crazy, I don't think the people listening to us right now, I don't think we necessarily sound crazy to them, but I know we sound crazy to some people.
Hold on real quick. You know what I say to that? Because the thing is, we've been right a lot. And I say, it's not that I'm crazy. It's not that I'm crazy. I'm just early.
Yeah,
we're just early.
We have the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that I'm like, I can listen to a Daniel Moody and I can listen to certain people and I'll be like, we're on the same plane. There's certain people that you all have to start listening to that, because
not Joe Scarborough, not MS Now, not Abby Phillip.
Yeah. These people will, slow walk us to our death. So anyway,
to be honest, not Democratic leaders either. Sorry, not.
It's not. It's really not.
It's the people.
And people like, I think, was it anyways.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. Going through puberty. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to the Radical Roots on our Stream of Consciousness Sunday. SOCS. I'm liking this. Trademarked. It has been a great conversation with my friend Rom. Just letting it out, letting it fly. Got a few clips, but we're just talking about how we feel about the bullshit. Because the bullshit going bullshit, and it's our responsibility to look that bullshit in the eye and say no. No, we don't. We reject this wholeheartedly. They're gonna start trying to put checkpoints like we're talking about in Gaza. Our checkpoints are gonna be the airport.
Yeah. Oh, and basically, just a reminder, as of today, TSA has never killed anyone. So take that for what
he's right. That's the tweet. That's the viral tweet right there.
Yeah, there's like 10,000 retweets, but like,
boom.
It's a baseline. People need to think about, and because sometimes I like looking back at things 10 years ago, to my point of like, certain posts or whatever, and that goalpost will move. And if you do not ground yourself and have that frame of reference, then you will forget, the people around you will forget. And then there's one of the other things in terms of like AI and how people search for information and how that information, AI is very dangerous in the sense that like people are just going to start looking to ChatGPT, find your answers there, and then assume they're correct. Like, yes, you can find your sources, but people aren't even doing that anymore. So like, and then when you can alter it, Grok, for example, have it lean a certain way. I mean, it already in itself, the way that it's trained is already susceptible to misinformation, bias, disinformation, or I wouldn't say disinformation, but like, I would say Grok actually could be potentially disinformation of trying to, alter. So just keep in mind, like you guys, people have to have a baseline.
Critical thinking.
That you need to track and measure yourself, because they'll wither it away and you'll kind of just not notice. It'll go before you even notice. So, anyways, that's my attempt at being.
I love it. It's right. He's right. He's right, folks. When he's right, he's right. And when he's wrong, he's right. Folks, thanks for tuning into the Radical Cruise podcast. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Cruise platform and podcast. This is how we continually grow, and this is how we are continue to build our community. These podcast episodes, look, we put in, this is almost 2 hours here. We are. This is a classroom. This is a classroom. Not just we're teaching you. It's Rom teaching me. I'm teaching Rom, and y'all are teaching us. That is a family. That is how we move forward. That is how we have the antidote to fascism. It is through community. It's through togetherness. It is how we trudge forward when everybody says that we should be alone. Hell no. So I want to thank you all. Thank you all that have listened and commented and tuned in, because we are nothing without you. And I want to thank every single listener, every single Roots head out there. And I'm put the QR code up for 10 seconds because that's what they say you should do. Please, if you guys could donate right here. You know, I'm a really bad capitalist over in this generate over it. Rom had, right, his fingers are over it. If you guys could just scan the QR code and donate a couple dollars to a couple brothers. This is how we, do the damn thing and maintain this really cool platform. It allows us to stay independent and get the news directly to you through a black and brown lens.
Yep, this platform that we record on, Restream, Opus for the clips, and I would love to be able to start text messages, to send out like text messages and stuff like that. But
see,
the website hosting.
text stop to stop. Like, oh god, right, Radical Roots, stop. Oh,
one of my favorite like financial podcasts, like it sends it out on text messages, and that's how I remember. So
of course it's a fucking jackbox preacher. That's how they always got to pass the collection plate. No, I'm fucking with you, folks. I'm your co-host, Ron Baxter.
I'm your co-host, Ram Sandoval.
We will see
you and good night
next time.